Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's our final panel of the day before the award ceremony tonight. My name is Lauren Adkins. I'm the founder of NYC Web Fest. Welcome to our 8th annual year. I'm going to pull up our moderator, Jason Godby, who's going to be moderating this panel. We usually start or end the festival with New Yorkers. This year, we've decided to close out with creators from the greatest city in the world. Let me pull up Jason. Hello, how's it going?
It's going. Trying to figure out this technology.
You and I both. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm going to start pulling people in and then disappear myself because StreamYard can get hectic when there's a lot of people backstage. But thank you for doing this, Jason. I appreciate it. I thought you would be perfect being a New York creator yourself. And I know you cover a lot of festivals. You've certainly covered this one. So I appreciate this.
I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure.
I will. Thank you. I'm going to mute myself. Oh, I was just going to let everybody know to just mute the mics when other people are speaking because there's sometimes feedback when lots of people are in the space. I'm going to start bringing people in. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Hello.
Hi.
Have I got everyone? Oh, Haley. Sorry, Haley. 1 second. Love it. All right, I will leave you guys to it. Thank you so much. Hi, Steve. Nice to see you again. Hi, everybody. Nice to see some new faces as well. Enjoy the chat. I will be around. If there's any external questions, Jason, I can feed it through the private chat for the filmmakers. If there's any questions that pop up on Indavo, if any questions pop up on YouTube, you'll get an alert because it's connected to StreamYard, just so you know. But have a great chat, guys. Thank you for doing this.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Can everybody hear me? Just kind of nod if you can. All right. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to do a little quick intro and so people know what this is all about, just in case you're just tuning in. And then we'll go around the panel and I'll introduce you. And please just mute yourself if you're not speaking. And also remember, speak succinctly because we have a bunch of people to talk. All right, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to NYC Web Fest, the New Yorkers panel for creators based here in New York City. It's these people put the NYC in NYC Web Fest. I'm your moderator, Jason Godby, and I'm going to go around the panel. All the panelists, I'm sure, will agree that this is the best panel because we're New Yorkers. All right, let's start. If he's here, I want to start with Steve Becker from Braz Jazzy Season 2 and Lower East Asides. Welcome, Steve.
How you doing? You almost got that name right.
What? How do you say it?
Brazzy Jazzy.
Brazzy Jazzy.
It's rhythmic, baby. It's rhythm. You should be singing it.
All right, so tell us a bit about it. Give me like a little Hollywood logline action for it.
Well, it's about a Brazilian girl comes to New York to become a fashion designer, but her misadventures are sometimes sexy, often funny, but always caffeinated. It's sort of Jane the Virgin meets girls. More like Girls of the Third World, though.
So, and you have two projects. Your other one's called Lower East Asides. Tell me about that one.
That's about rock and roll wannabes on the Lower East Side of New York trying to make it on the bumpy and erratic road to stardom or lack of stardom.
Very cool. So, so can you talk a little bit about the challenges that you had making it? Was this were these projects pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID?
They were shot right before COVID. Brazzy Jazzy was first, and that was scheduled to be 3 22-minute episodes for a channel in Brazil, and it fell apart. So after that, we reformulated it into a web series, and we released it during COVID last year. Our first festival was September last year. And Lower East Side was shot right before COVID also. It was a 1-hour TV pilot, and once we saw that Brazzy Jazzy was doing all right, we just that one was easier to re-edit into a web series. So it's 4 episodes of about 14 minutes each. So what the COVID did allow us to do was have a hell of a lot of free time to re-edit and reimagine, because the Brazzy Jazzy changed dramatically. Because in a 30-minute comedy, you have to keep storylines going, you have to keep momentum going, you have a lot of exposition in a pilot. But in web series, you don't have those constraints. You can bounce around, you can add wacky graphics, you can only come in late, leave early, get the best bits. As long as the show makes sense going forward, you don't need a lot of connective tissue. Or just my opinion. Hey, what do I know?
Yeah, a lot of stuff was in post during COVID. And I think that's kind of what kept the industry going for at least the first half of 2020. In terms of the festival run, kind of where you said you started last year, where are you now? Are you kind of bringing it in for a landing? And how have you found navigating the festival circuit at this point?
This is the end of Brazzy Jazzy's run is this year. For this is season 2. We're actually shooting season 3 now, so we may reappear next year. It did beyond expectations. I have pretty high. I didn't know anything about the web series circuit. I was mostly an independent film before this, and it won the first festival it was in, and I don't know. I'm not being self-congratulatory. I don't know how many it's won. It's probably like 40 at this point. Yet none in Brazil. So we figure that one out. The Brazilians don't seem to find it that funny. They don't like being made fun of, even though I'm showing the power of an independent woman from Brazil coming to New York and being a success.
I'm sure that's a whole other discussion.
Yes. Maybe I'm not the one who's supposed to be telling that story, but I will say, and I know Bosco and Boyle know because I saw it with them last week in Baltimore. My wife is Brazilian. I lived in Brazil for 7 years, so they still don't want a gringo telling their story. It should be. Yeah.
All right.
And Lori said,
I'm sorry. I just saw Anthony. Anthony Welsh just popped up. Anthony, we're already in the midst of going. So if you want to mute yourself, I'm going to come back around to everybody. Right now, we're talking to Steve. All right. Continue, Steve.
Yeah. So that was Brazzy Jazzy. And we're turning it into an anthology series because my actors are spread to, I don't like to use the word literally, but almost literally the 4 corners of the earth. No one's here in New York anymore. So we're going to have different characters. And then Lower East Sides, start shooting more in January, February, COVID willing, that we're finally here in New York. I mean, I'm sure it's something you're going to cover. It's been tough to shoot in New York. It's even tougher to shoot a comedy because my actors didn't seem to feel too funny or frivolous with death hanging over their head. Hey, is that guy vaccinated? I don't know. It's a little too nerve-wracking. So it's hard enough to make good comedy without your actors feeling like this is a life or death struggle.
Yeah, it's especially fun when everybody has to get out of their hazmat suit just before acting. But all right, so I'm going to come back to you, but now we're going to move on to Justin Joseph Hall, your project Marcellus Hall, an artist in New York City. Tell us about it.
It's a roadmap of a creative career. Marcellus Hall has done many amazing things, including having several covers of The New Yorker. He's done 9 children's books, and he also has done independent music. He's been signed for Matador Records. He inspired the song Float On by Modest Mouse. You can go on for a while with his accomplishments, but this is really it's a roadmap for young creatives to see what it could be like to have a creative career, to move to New York and, chase that dream that so many of us, probably everyone on this panel has done. Yeah.
Really cool. So now I noticed the last name. Is he a relation of yours?
He is. He is my dad's cousin. That's how I met him. And he was really, he's an illustrated musician. So when I moved here, I kind of asked him all of the questions I asked him in the documentary. He was my mentor on my own creative career. And I was like, well, what if he didn't have it? I mean, I only knew like 3 people here. And luckily I knew Mars. And he was so kind to me over the years, showing me the ropes and, how to make sure you get paid and whatever else. So yeah, I had an in, and I used it.
Really cool. So now, so this is documentary. It's a bit different than what some of these other guys are doing. Was this shot pre-COVID, during COVID?
It was shot pre-COVID. It took me like 3 years. It doesn't seem like it because it really was 10 days of shooting. But I do a lot of projects, and this was shot on, nights and weekends. Whenever me and him could get together, we'd like shoot one weekend, one day the next weekend, and then we'd wait a couple months, shoot the next part. And we probably did about 10 shoot days. And it's just, the only footage that you see in the doc is interview of him in his apartment. So everything is contained to that. And all of the B-roll that you see are his 350 plus illustrations throughout the series. That is B-roll. And we use B-roll that when he's talking about something that happened in the past, you're seeing the stuff that he drew around the time that he's describing. And you're also hearing the music. We have 30 plus songs of music that mostly he wrote. He co-wrote all of them except for one. And most of them he wrote by himself, and he's always the lead singer. You're hearing that as the soundtrack. And those are the songs that he created when you hear him talk about the events that are going on in his life, what inspired him, what's going on in his career, his huge milestones, such as getting the first New Yorker cover that he had, getting his first magazine published, his early comic strips and stuff. So, yep. You're on mute, Jason. You're on mute. Hey.
It sounds more of like a profile of him, where you're really kind of doing like history of New York via his art. It's a really cool thing. Where are you guys now? Where are you guys now in your festival run, and kind of how have you been navigating so far?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do with the doc now is we're looking at, we have a possible deal with a network that we're looking into. We just kind of started. This is, I think, our third showing. Our first showing was at the beginning of October. So we've done pretty well so far. And then we're trying to do this with other artists. We have another artist who's already interested. Her name is Kat Pierce, and we're looking at profiling. We're gonna talk to a bunch of different artists who are both visual and audio artists, and see if we can do the same thing. Have them film with them in their studio, get their visual and audio artwork, and tell their story chronologically, visually through music and through their own words, bringing you through a journey of what a successful creative career could look like. So we're just looking for to go to the next steps and make more of these.
Cool, and that's all under Four Winds Film, under your production company.
Yeah, we do a lot of different things. We do narratives, documentaries. I'm working on my first feature doc, which is Frames of Reference. That's coming up, and we're also working on a narrative feature of from my friend Ricky Rosario as well, called Abuela's Luck, which is coming from a short that got picked up from HBO. So really cool. We're working on a lot of different things at the moment.
Excellent. I'm going to come back to everybody and see what what they've got coming up next and where to find them and all that stuff. Cool. But I wanted to make sure that we got everybody's story here. So next we got Alexandra Gutierrez. And is Richard with you, or you're all by yourself?
I'm by myself. He's not feeling
okay. You might have to turn up your mic. You're a little bit low, or maybe his mic was just real loud. So your project is it Dad Rapi? Can we hear her?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. My headphones. I'll take them off.
Okay.
Right. Hi, guys.
So tell us about, is it Dad Rapi?
Dad Rapi. So it's like Dad therapy, but we just cut it up.
All right. Tell us about the project. Give me like a little Hollywood logline type action.
Sure. So Dad Rapi, it follows two Afro-Latino guys who randomly meet on a bench, and they just start bonding and talking about making jokes about fatherhood and what they're going through. And through that process, they kind of dig deeper into their lives and talk about like the deeper issues that come up with fatherhood that not normally men talk about, as well as their childhood traumas with their dads. So they meeting each other and getting to know each other more. You'll see as the episodes go, you get to see their journeys with themselves as being fathers, and also the journeys of them dealing with their own fatherhood issues.
Cool. And is that kind of a more of a comedic tone? Is it more of
I would call it a dramedy.
a
So it's
dramedy? Okay.
comedy, drama. There's also rap involved, so there's music. So it's a little bit of everything.
So, and when did you guys film this? Was this pre-COVID, during COVID?
I would say during and post-COVID, because I feel like we're still in COVID in a way. So I don't really consider it post-COVID because we're still living the life of it. But we shot it this year, 2021,
Okay, cool.
summer. So yeah.
And what kind of what kind of challenges did that bring for you while you were trying to get this thing made?
Actually, thankfully, challenges as far as with COVID, we weren't worried about, because at that time, a lot of us were vaccinated and we had a small cast and a small crew, which is consisted of myself, my husband, Rick Herrera, who wrote it as well. He's also co-producer, co-director, and Lenny Marte, who's the camera operator. And I was a boom operator. I was doing grip. I was doing lighting. Like, we would switch. I was also an actress in it. So we all played different roles in the series to make it work.
Yeah, we're wearing masks.
It was challenging because we had a lot of hats to wear, but it was good because we had less people to work with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're wearing masks, but also a lot of hats at the same time. And where are you guys now with the festival run? Is this just starting for you? And
It's just starting. Yeah.
And how has it been kind of virtual and navigating some virtual, some in person? If it was in person, would you go, or you want to keep everything like this?
Actually, so far it's been mostly virtual. There's one that's coming up at the end of this month that they're gonna have an in-person award ceremony dinner for one day. But we are choosing to keep away because we have other things going on, and we also are not ready to be in person with a lot of people yet because we have a daughter and we're gonna be away. But as far as like how we've been feeling, it's been overwhelming because a lot of the festivals we submitted to, we were get accepted, we got nominations for, and it's really overwhelming. We're humbled by the experience because of how many people we've been reaching to that we normally didn't think we were gonna reach out to. So it's been great and humbling, and we're still living the life of it.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, I'm going to move on to Haley Carl with Good Morning Governor, and it's two projects, Good Morning Governor and The Executive Circle.
Yes.
I could probably guess what these things are about, but I'm going to let you tell me.
Well, The Executive Circle is it's a parody of the TV show The Circle. If you saw that came out December of 2019. And we shot it really early March 2020, just in the first couple weeks of COVID. But yeah, it's a parody of The Circle. The executives are a house sketch team at Magnet Theater. So we're catfishing each other. Everyone came up with characters to play, and then we all signed in. And it's the same concept as the TV show The Circle, which, if you haven't seen, is a show where it's a reality TV show that's an elimination show. But it's all based on people's social media profiles. So yeah, there's influencers, people get eliminated, and it's the same concept with our show, except that it's all made up characters. So you've got everyone from Vanessa Hudgens, someone playing Vanessa Hudgens, to someone playing the complete works of William Shakespeare as a character. So it's wacky. So yeah, that was the beginning of COVID, and then for kind of last winter's phase of COVID, I started this other web series, which at the time was called Good Morning Cuomo. And that was, the idea behind that is, this is a show for an audience of one, which at the time was Governor Cuomo, to help bars and restaurants get aid. It was a venue for them to speak directly to him and tell him what they were experiencing, what was going on, and what they needed, because it really seemed like he had no clue. He was completely out of touch with what bars and restaurants were going through. And that's not an industry that lets even the general public kind of behind the curtain. So it was a way for them to really let him in on, hey, we're struggling. And that is a series that is still going, which, as you said, you'd return to. So we'll circle back to that.
So that's obviously Executive Circle. Is that all being done like on Zoom and all virtual?
Yeah. So the way we did it, the way I set it up is that I essentially set up a Slack channel so no one knew who anyone was. And everyone logged in as their characters, and I just everyone filmed themselves. So the first night we shot everything in one night in 4 hours. And that ended up breaking down to 5 episodes. And then we returned and shot the 6th and final episode, and then did the reveal of the winner live. But yeah, I basically got sent everyone's footage and then had to cut back and forth between, which luckily, then the conversation on Slack between people that was happening essentially was a script that I could use and just pull from that footage. But it was a good distracting project for that time during COVID, but it was a lot to edit. So
it's really amazing how people just got creative during that period. And I think a lot of artists jumped on it right away and said, hey, we can't get out there. We can't get in front of people. Or this project that I really wanted to do is going to get delayed because nobody can be on a set right now. And they just came out with all sorts of fun, interesting virtual ways to do stuff. It's pretty amazing. Your second project, though, needed a name change because we changed governors in the midst of COVID, which is a story in and of itself. With that, I mean, how were you kind of able to get people? Was that also all virtual as well?
No, that was in person, and that was terrifying because that was, pre-vaccine. I mean, at that point it was November, so we knew it was on the horizon. Based on everything else we had seen in the service industry, we figured we would not get it until, later on. So yeah, everyone was double masked. Most of them we shot outside, in the winter. And yeah, it was terrifying. I mean, myself and my main producer and DP, Taylor Scott Mason, we just would take every precaution and continually get tested. And we basically reached out to the community, people we knew in the service industry, and then took it on a volunteer basis of whoever wanted to tell their story. We did the best we could to get to them.
Wow.
Which worked better than I think if we were trying to book people and get them on, because it was people that were ready to talk, so.
Well, it was also a much needed thing. And, I don't know what people in other states experience, but, during the whole first year of COVID, we were, everybody was watching these, like state of the state kind of conversations every morning with Governor Cuomo. And I think everybody developed their own Andy Cuomo impression during it. But like, I think it's great. It's a very kind of altruistic type project. But now that you're in the festival circuit with it, how are you kind of navigating, and has it been mostly virtual for you, or are you doing in-person stuff? How are you kind of getting through the festival waters these days?
This is my first festival with it. And, this is an ongoing series. So it's one of those things where I don't know. I'm kind of figuring it out. I felt really humbled as well to get into this festival, and I'm kind of on the lookout right now for where this might fit and work. My dream is to get it into festivals in other cities where, bars and restaurants are also struggling with this, and hopefully reach that audience. And then I'd love some money. Oh, baby, help me do this, because that would be ideal to get some kind of funding, because Taylor and I are doing this in our free time. We both work full time as well. So we're doing the best we can, but man, it would help to.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to manage. All right, so we're going to move on now to Amelia Boskoff and Sonder Boyle. Hope I'm saying that name right. Your series, The Weird Bird and Stout Gnome Show. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so The Weird Bird and Stout Gnome Show is about two roommates burden them with dealing with their everyday problems that aren't your everyday type of problems.
Yeah, so we shot it completely alone in our apartment with just the two of us in like the depths of COVID in October 2020, and wrote it in order to work that way. So it was us, camera, sound, literally everything, and both of us are in it, starring in it. So
often there was no one behind the camera.
Yeah, mostly nobody was there. So yeah, we did have one time. There's one shot where we had a camera op that was outside, but otherwise it was just us, and then a lot of friendly folks for post-production.
Now, was this something that you guys had written beforehand and were thinking of doing it properly, and then you just went, oh, the hell with it, we're going to have to do it like this? Or was this written in the midst of, in quarantine kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we wrote it to film in quarantine. We both had shorts that we were individually planning to film for school that couldn't get made because of the pandemic. So we sat around for a while and then decided to write something that we could actually make with just the two of us.
Yeah, we both graduated into 2020. So it was a very rough time for everyone already in the industry, and especially rough for new people coming in and trying to keep those freelance gigs that we had, had on the horizon and stuff like that. So we both were very unemployed and very sad about our shorts. Like, I was a month away from filming mine, and it was we were all just kind of like sad, as we all were. So we decided we knew what we had to do, and we'd write something that is made to be made with just us.
Well, it's got to get better, right, kids? Like, it's all downhill from here. If you could survive that, with the job market and graduating in that year, good on you. So now that you've gotten this, I mean, you've definitely turned a negative into a positive. You didn't go crazy from quarantine with each other. You found a productive use for your time, and now you're on the festival circuit. And like, how has that been for you? I assume is this your first festival circuit that you've ever been on, or are you guys been doing this since you were 15?
I would actually say I've been doing it since I was 15, but it is nice to not be in the youth category, or student actually, because this was without affiliation to anything. So,
and we were in Baltimore last weekend with Steve, for their Web Fest, which was really fun.
Yeah, and we hadn't gone to anything in person for a long time, and Baltimore was our first like in-person festival with something since COVID. And it was nice because we could just, drive down with the two of us. We're already roommates. So like, we already share the same germs. So, and it was like a fairly small group. Steve was there, a few others. So, and everyone was very careful about masking. So we weren't very concerned while we were there, which was nice.
Yeah, we've all become like health experts and germaphobes at the same time during the whole thing. And I think people in our industry have been particularly safe. I mean, one thing I got to pat us on the back for in the film industry is really getting on the safety and getting back to work almost before anybody, and putting those protocols in place. And now probably one of the safest places to be is a film set, because there's so many, there's testing, there's precautions. And I think that's great. I'm hoping that'll probably have to continue as we go from pandemic to endemic. But it just keeps getting more and more fun. All right, I'm going to move on to now. I have to see if he's here. Anthony, are you? Did I lose you, or are you back? Anthony Welsh. He was here a second ago. All right, I'll come back to him. Max Berry with Hey Professor. Max, tell us about Hey Professor.
Hey Professor is a show filmed and set entirely on Zoom that follows a group of 6 college student artists of different disciplines who had all of their projects canceled due to COVID, and are now, their professors are having them all come onto this Zoom call together to make some sort of artistic showcase, and personalities clash. Different art mediums are challenged, and the professor requires video diaries to be sent in too. So you get the Zoom meetings and then these little introspective video diaries of the different characters, kind of like what they actually think about each other.
That sounds like a true story. Did that happen to somebody that you know, or?
Yeah, it kind of came out of, I was sort of thrown into this playwriting group, and the personalities were very different than the ones that end up in the show, but it was this kind of like, this is strange, none of us know what to do, none of us know how to interact with each other, like, or what we're making. This is just such a weird time to be doing this. And kind of through being a part of that group, I was just like, this has to be something. This is so strange and weird and delightful.
And it sounds like it's kind of made like you present it. So were you making things on Zoom and then having people film themselves?
So the way that we did it, we had a brilliant director, Rosie Tyler, who kind of came up with and like trial and error kind of different methods of doing it. But we would just all hop on the Zoom meeting. Rosie would hit record, and we'd go and do several takes of the scene, and then she would pin certain people's video, and we'd hit record, so you could get close, and we'd do the whole scene again with just one person pinned, so you could get like close-up shots. And then our wonderful editor, Chloe Bowman, edited all of that together to look like a show.
And was this all written, or was it largely like improv?
It was mostly written, yeah. Rosie and I co-wrote the scripts.
Very cool. And I can imagine the challenge would be kind of putting that all together and trying to make it look good. And everybody's seen like Zoom footage and trying to make that work. And I remember somebody from last year did a project virtually, and they were talking about just trying to get the color to match and get people to look, give it a look, give it a cinematic look type of thing. But at this point, where are you guys in terms of, is this the beginning of your festival cycle, or where are you right now?
Yeah, so we're all actually theater students by trade, venturing out into this new adventure of film with this project. Like many people, COVID was a time where we all were like, let's try something new, let's try something different. So this is our first festival, and we're super grateful and excited to be a part of it, and are going to be looking for other things moving forward. I think we're in a similar boat to what Haley was saying about just very grateful to be in this festival, and I'm excited to kind of look to the future with it. Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So this could open up a whole new career for you.
Yeah, I think writing this, actually the way I actually kind of decided to write this was my final play for school, because I also graduated in 2020, just a fun adventure. But my final play for school was on Zoom, and I had a professor just kind of real quickly make a comment of, I think you'd do good writing for TV. And I was like, that sounds cool. How do I do that? That sounds impossible right now with COVID. Web series. And so it was kind of just me making that decision. And since then, I've kind of had and I know we're going to talk about that down the road, but I've had other projects that I've been kind of like brewing on in that world. So
very cool, man. Very cool. All right. So I want to go back up to the top and just kind of see where people are at and what they're up to next. And then I'm going to get everybody's kind of social media handles where we can find you. So Steve, with your projects, with the two series, you said that you're planning on making one an anthology. And are you looking to get to a different platform with it? Are you looking to pitch it places?
Oh, the dirty question of pitching it. Brazzy Jazzy. I fly down to Brazil in 5 days. I know I'm heading right into the COVID disaster, but my wife hasn't seen her family in 2 years, and it's the NYC Web Fest. But as part of that, I will be pitching Brazzy Jazzy, which they already know about, to a couple of streaming services, and hopefully get it to go from there. I have 2 other projects there. I'm scheduled to shoot in Brazil, which is at least 6 months to a year away, since in Brazil, you're not only dealing with COVID, you're dealing with roaming gangs of thieves in the streets and general starvation, things like that. So I left those parts out of Brazzy Jazz and the haha moments. Yeah, so I'm sure everyone's goal here to try and take it next level. It's really hard. I used to work in LA and in television, and it's a whole new world now. So what anyone always asks me is, you make your web series the best you can with the way you want to, not what you think other people are going to like it. Don't make it because I think Netflix will like it this way. It doesn't work that way. They will see the quality of what you have and what you can bring to the table. If you're trying to make a show that, well, this is so popular, it will be good here in Nebraska, in Saskatchewan, you're just killing yourself. I mean, we're working for no money. We're working, most of the time putting a lot of our own money in. So you better at least be happy with the project when it's over with, and something you can look back on, at least create a lifetime portfolio. So yes, that being said, I will be pitching at, and as a couple other projects, like I said, I have scripts written. I don't know about everyone else. This was a pandemic. I had a hell of a lot of free time on my hands. I was working from home. I finished 3 scripts I had in pieces or outlines, and then I wrote 2 new TV pilots. Yeah. And I will make a joke. One joke. We did go to our first, during this whole circuit, we didn't go to anything for the first year. Obviously, everything was closed. And then as part of, there's a web series World Cup out there of web series to submit to. And the first one live was in July in Italy. So we went to that one, and we just got back from one in Spain, and then we went to the one in Baltimore. So I think all series web festivals are going sort of hybrid, that they're going to have everything online, and it allows easier interaction. But at the same time, there'll be a little component, like the one we were in Baltimore. See, if I didn't go to Baltimore, I wouldn't be able to fondle their beak, the beak of Boscoff and Boyle. You can see it, but until you touch it, it's a whole different experience. So yeah, but online, and especially like New York City, you get to watch them all from the comfort of your couch, mildly dressed, somewhat dressed, completely naked, and no one cares. So that's just my take on the subject.
And Steve, if someone wants to find you and your work online, where can they find you?
Well, my handles for the websites are pretty easy. It's brazzyjazzy.com. I know you're going to sing it along with me. And the other one is lowereastasides.com. And on Instagram, it's brazzyjazzytv and Lower East Asides. I don't have any personal, so sorry. I try to maintain a modicum of a wall of privacy.
I think that's a great idea. Next, go back to Justin. Justin, so for this project, you mentioned a little bit before, but just kind of remind us where are you going with it? And you said that you're looking at some kind of a television distribution right now?
Yeah, it's for a new network. We're still just looking at contracts and stuff, so we'll see where that works or wherever. And like I said, this is our 3rd showing, so we're just getting started. But yeah, so we're looking for anybody who wants to make this with other artists in mind. A lot of people, come up to me after screenings and have other artists in mind that they want to show in the same style. We would love to do somebody like Joni Mitchell or Lizzo. That's an ideal, but there's a lot of people who do visual and audio artwork. But yeah, so we're pitching it to whoever we can. We're talking to different production companies. We're talking to this one new television channel and seeing whatever else. And everything else that we do is on 4Wind Films. That's my company, and started a while ago, and we got a bunch of projects going on. So you can find that we got all the handles, 4Wind Films, at 4Wind Films, 4windfilms.com. Keep it simple, just like Steve.
Awesome. And going back to you, Alexandra, with your project, what's next on the horizon, and where can we learn about it online?
So we already, Rick already wrote the second season for Therapy. So we're in pre-production for that. We're gonna look into some fundraising and shoot it hopefully in the spring, summer of next year. And you can find anything Therapy, and you can find anything about us within the Therapy. It's DADRAHPY. That's on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Very cool. And for Amelia and Sonder, what happens next with the weird bird and gnome?
That was kind of a one-off. I mean, it's very absurdist, very comedic, but it's also very much at the heart about the pandemic, and we think we gave them a good resolution there. But we're kind of constant co-collaborators. We're looking in 2022, finally making our short films that we were going to make in 2020. So finally going into production for that. And we have a lot of, stuff we're writing, ideas, scripts.
I wish you a lot of luck with that. If people want to know more about you, follow you, possibly stalk you online, where can they find you on social media and so forth?
We're Boskov Boyle on Instagram and YouTube, and we also have a website, Boskov Boyle, and we have personal Instagrams that you can find along the way.
They're all tagged on all those as well. If you hate one of us and you only like one of us.
I love Boskov and Boyle. It sounds like you founded a psychological theory. Or possibly discovered a planet somewhere. Oh, that's the Boskov and Boyle project.
Yeah. Exactly. Like it's a very classified, like atomic project or something.
She wore lab coats a lot, I think. All right, so moving on to Haley. Haley, what's on the horizon for you next with these projects, and where can we find out about you online?
For the Executive Circle, that was a fun one-off. All the episodes are on YouTube. They're hidden right now just because we're in this Web Fest. We wanted, if everyone wants to check out the pilot and then you want to continue on to the next episodes, you can just look up on YouTube, the Executive Circle. That handle online is the Execs Comedy. So you'll be able to see the episodes there as well and track to them. For Good Morning Governor, this is an ongoing series. I'd love to expand beyond bars and restaurants, but that is the focus right now. And they still need help, still need funding. And we've got a new governor at the moment that still we need to connect with and still need a seat at the table. So that's at Good Morning Gov. And those episodes are on YouTube as well, also hidden this week because we're in the festival. But Good Morning Gov, and give us a follow, and tip your servers, please, and your bartenders. Tip them well.
And if you happen to know Madam Governor, give her a ring and tell her about the series.
Please. I think she'll actually watch it. I do not believe Cuomo watched it. I think his people protected him from it.
I think you have a much better shot with the current governor than we had with Uncle Andy, as
That's
I was
my theory.
calling him. All right, Max, bring us on home. What's happening next with Hey Professor, and where can we find you on the web?
I think we're actually not quite sure what's going on with Hey Professor. We have thoughts for what could happen further in the show, but we shot it in a time when all of us had a lot of free time, and now all of that free time is kind of not there, and we're all being in different states wouldn't matter for this project, but everyone's kind of now started to do the things we wanted to do during the pandemic. So who knows? I'm excited. I have lots of different things that I think could happen with Hey Professor. All 6 episodes of Hey Professor are on YouTube, and the Instagram where you can find it is at Hey Professor Show. My personal Instagram is at Maximus of Barry. And you can find me at maxberryplaywright.com.
Very cool. I'm just, I'm not getting any pings from, for questions or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you guys all so much for doing this. And thank you guys out there for watching. For more on NYC Web Fest, you can always visit nycwebfest.com. And here's Lauren. Lauren, do we have any questions or anything before I wrap this up?
No, I was trying to reach you. I apologized. Anthony sends his apologies. He was having technical difficulties. It kept freezing, and so he wasn't able to. I just thought he was being very pensive and serious, and then I realized, like, no, his screen is actually frozen. He's like deep in thought. I was like, oh, why won't he speak? So I just want to thank you guys. This is awesome. I love that the New Yorkers are closing the panel. Shout out to Haley and Steve, who have 2 projects each in here. I think that's great. I love that. I know it's a lot of work and doing the festival circuit. You guys work very, very hard, all of you. And to the students, that's amazing that you guys graduated recently and are doing this. I appreciate the support with the festival as well. Max, how did you say you found the festival? I didn't hear. I have headphones on. It was glitching.
I don't know if I actually did say. I think I was just looking. I had this complete thing. I was just looking for more people to see it.
Right.
And found NYC Web Fest and was like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, okay. That's great. I love it. I appreciate you guys doing this. And yeah, it's the last panel it's day number 3. And the awards will be live on Indavo Media and on YouTube tonight at 6 Eastern. So we will see you then. If any of you are going to be like together, like if you're going to be watching it with someone, let me know. We'll clue in live before the awards officially start. I think it would be fun. See what everyone's doing. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you doing this.
Thank
I know
you.
it's a lot of work
pleasure.
going through everything and the bios, the series, and I appreciate this, guys. Thank you to
No,
New York
great.
City. I will see you guys later on.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.